This is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need. Welcome to Pain's Don't Hide the Scars podcast. I'm Jason LaChance, here with the founder of Pain, Mr. Flindt Andersen. How are you, good sir?
I'm well, Jason. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm interested to dig into this topic that we're going to focus on, and it's products that their branding is really irresponsible to the recovering addict. You had shared something with me interesting enough here a few days ago, kind of sparked some interest for us to have conversation around this, and I view it in the same manner you do. I get that. Do we want to mention the product, or should we, so we don't give them any credit, just kind of describe?
Let's describe, because I really don't want to be responsible for giving people this information. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, let me get a quick rundown of it. It is supposedly an energy powder, and it contains caffeine and inositol. I think that's how you say it, which is designed to provide a refreshing energy boost. This product that we're speaking of, as much to where their branding is "Wanna Bump," which most commonly, of course, with cocaine. And the packaging does look like a vial that for people that use cocaine would mostly have gotten it in. And hey, I get that, with some things it's good in tongue in cheek, but when you're talking about something that's destroyed people's lives, we've seen it with alcohol and bottling of certain types of things over the years as well, and other products for that matter. But yeah, I think it's incredibly irresponsible.
Well, not only look, not only irresponsible, all right, but to me it's damn near criminal, because they know. How do you not know, right? I mean, you have to be living under a rock for the last 40 years to not think that there is either a cocaine or some sort of drug and alcohol problem that we've got in the United States, And so for these quote so-called legitimate companies, to do this, to me it's criminal. But there's ways that they do it. But getting back to this particular item, yes, it looks like a cocaine vial. I mean, when I first saw it, I went, "Where's the spoon?" Because the spoon usually comes with the vial, and it just might be just what it is. It might be an energy powder of some sort. But when you're talking about people that are either trying to get clean, let's just take that at first, that people that are trying to get clean, it's like an opiate addict getting off of heroin or opiates, and all of a sudden the kratom people come out and go, "Hey, this is a plant-based item. This is not going to hurt you because you've got some 20-year-old that's sitting at this head shop thinking that he or she knows everything in the world about this stuff."
Yeah.
Okay. And now this addict who's just been, through quite an ordeal trying to get off of something goes, "Oh, I can use this and it's not going to hurt me. It's not addictive." Well, guess what, folks? It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. We have deaths from it. And so what happens, just like I'm sure these folks are going to do, mark my words, something's going to happen with this particular item. Somebody's either going to get deathly sick or die from this, because there is always one ingredient in all of these different items that is the deadliest. And so what they do is, when something happens, then the manufacturer changes that. The FDA comes in and goes, "You got to take this off your shelf now." But they change one small ingredient in that item. Now it's legal again to go back on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting, in my book. And if you are, look, I did piles of cocaine. Hell, I thought I was Al Pacino, at one time in Scarface. And somebody shows me a vial, any vial, it's like, whoa, that's kind of my first reaction here. And if let's say you've never done cocaine, but you're going to try this, but you don't, I'm sorry, I'll argue with everybody, this is going to lead to that as well. Okay. Yeah. It just does. It's a natural form of progression here, So we're it's like we're trying to sweep the ocean back with a broom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's
Yeah. And I just think it sets up, um, and again, we all have personal responsibility around anything that we go into, but you take the kid, and I'm going to say dumb kid because I was a dumb kid. I don't mean it as an insult. I just mean
oh,
it as, hey, our brain hasn't matured. We haven't faced enough situations to really make rational, good decisions. So you start here, and then let's say it does give you that energy boost, and you're like, wait, there's more potential out there. And I'm not necessarily, uh, I think the gateway drug can be a bit overdone because the reality of it is just well, all of us started somewhere with anything. So there you go. That's your gateway thing. I mean, we've literally interviewed someone that said, all I ever did was heroin. I never drank, never anything else, but just went straight to it. So I don't necessarily know that, that it's hammering home around that, but yeah, it definitely is really misguided with this kind of branding because you do essentially co-brand to a narcotic, an illegal substance that has destroyed and taken hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives over history. So I just find it a bit repulsive. I don't get the tongue in cheek of it. I've read some of the reviews, and literally somebody said, just give me the real thing instead in one of these reviews online. It's like, that's what we're talking about here. Like, how irresponsible. And, you had sent me the TikTok video. It seemed to be somebody that was doing it through their TikTok store or whatever, and they're literally snorting this stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
come on. Like, okay, look, okay, it may not be cocaine that's packed with baby powder and cut with everything else, but eventually, you don't think this is going to jack up your sinuses and your nasal passages? Like, come on here. New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
Look, the nonsense that one is putting in our bodies, it's pretty, it can shock you. I mean, you don't know truly what's in that stuff. Okay. Yeah. And you made a great point. I mean, you can screw up your nasal passages. You could screw up your heart because of this. It's a speed. Whatever they're putting in there is a speed. Yeah. You got to keep that in mind. There's some sort of speed in there. By the way, caffeine is a speed. Nicotine is a speed. There. And by the way, when you start putting large doses of nicotine into something, yes, you can die from a nicotine overdose. Absolutely, you can. Do your research. Not you, but the audience. Read. Go look it up. You can die from a nicotine overdose. People have.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more that meets the eye. And quickly, it just reminds me of the kava days. KAVA. When way back when I was a kid, they were saying that kava is the natural plant-based benzodiazepine / Valium. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, I'm in. I wind up with a psychotic break and have to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. I mean, again, been around a lot of years. I've been through all of this stuff. It's not like I'm speaking out of turn. This is the reality of this stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think it goes in line with the irresponsible packaging that we've talked about, like for gummies that contain THC, and they are literally the packaging looks very much close to the Haribo gummy bears. Like, hey, I love gummy bears, just telling you. And if I was like, ooh, that sounds really good, and I saw one, and not taking that time to read, imagine the little kid or the one that can't read. And those are sitting out. And these are the things that we're talking about around this irresponsible branding that they do.
Right.
It's like,
that's right? How many times have we seen little children either have an overdose and not make it, or have the overdose and make it? You know, it's both, because of, quote, what you just said, the irresponsibility of, now it's the irresponsibility of the parent, or the mother, the father, okay, the aunt, the uncle, the brother, the sister, whatever. But it always comes down to the irresponsibility of the manufacturer,
Mm.
in my opinion. Look, somebody's always going to use, and by the way, there's some, boy, kind of almost makes me sound like a hypocrite, but it's like the gun issue. Guns don't kill people, people do.
Mm.
That's my philosophy. But there has to be responsibility towards that firearm, of a lot of kind. Okay, it's not some kind, but there has to be a lot of responsibility towards that. There's a reason why you have to go through certain things to get it. But of course, we circumvent all that, and we can buy, people buy whatever they want. And it's kind of the same thing here, I think. But like I said, it's because of what we do. I'm sorry, we see the raw ass end of it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's becoming draining.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we have to speak on it, and bring that awareness around it. I mean, it's just the first part of it, right? The old G.I. Joe. I don't know if you remember the cartoons or where your kids were. They always had those PSAs at the end, and they go, "And knowing's half the battle." Like, okay, now you gotta have awareness around it, and then you gotta figure out, okay, what do I do with this awareness? Because otherwise, it's just awareness.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree.
So, yeah, I mean, there's been other areas, of course, where we've seen packaging that resembles alcohol bottles, which I mean, for me personally, was never a trigger, but I have known people that like me in recovery for alcohol, that those kind of things would stir up thoughts and emotions and things of that nature, especially if it was that mind body connection of grabbing those little bottles, sneaking it in the soda at work or whatever whatever it was for them. So that's why we need to talk on this, to help that individual or help that family to kind of dissuade and move away from these things and be aware of them, and, create your own, limit your accessibility and create the boundaries around this stuff to have a healthier way of life.
Right. It's like when I go into a store, and this happens a lot. I kind of go to the same store almost every morning, right? And I walk in, and somebody invariably is always buying, those little airline bottles of shots. And of course, I'm not going to say anything to anybody. It's their business what they do. But when I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at a 65-year-old, 70-year-old, my age, sitting in there buying the thing. Okay. My first reaction is, if you're not buying the bigger bottle, are you just hiding these?
Mm.
Because nobody in their right mind is going to buy 7 little bottles, little airline bottles. I'm not talking 1, I'm talking 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Okay. That means I'm just saying, you're probably stashing those things all over the place. Here you are at 60 years of age, acting like a 5-year-old, hiding things and doing things, because as addicts and alcoholics, that's what we do. That's what we're famous for. But you also mentioned something about the bottle shapes. I'll say it, Listerine. They're famous for it.
Mm.
Okay. They are famous for making that bottle into that, looking like that fifth or that half gallon. I think years ago it was Scope, that kind of did the same thing. Listerine's the main one, though, because there's so much alcohol content in those things that, yeah, you can get drunk off it. Now, it's going to take you 2 or 3 bottles,
Yeah.
to get that alcohol buzz, but you're going to,
Yeah.
but look what else. But again, look what else you're putting in your body,
Yeah.
But when you are that deep into your addiction, you don't give a damn what's inside of there. Okay. No. You just want the feeling again.
Yeah.
So like you said, there's major responsibility for every manufacturer here.
Yeah.
And look,
Well,
we're in a free society. They can do what they want.
Yeah. Well, and I think for the person that's listening or watching on our YouTube channel with the rational minds, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why wouldn't they just buy the big bottle and not those little ones? And you and I, like you pointed out, we were great at hiding it. Like,
Great.
okay, have this one here. It's easy to dispose of. Nobody's going to question it. It's not coming home. It's not
Right.
this bigger thing to hide. It's like you can go through and immediately dispose pretty quickly of, and that is where the mind goes. And to speak on how nefarious addiction is, it reminds me back to Kitty Dukakis. Am I correct? Where in her alcoholism, she was drinking rubbing alcohol. Like
Correct.
they got everything out of the house, and her accessibility to it, and George, like the way he limited everything that she was going to be able to get to the point where she turned to rubbing alcohol.
That's desperate.
Yeah.
But I want you to think about this as well, right? By the way, that's a legitimate question people are asking. Yeah, I mean, why are they buying that?
Hmm.
Well, guess what, folks? At 2 a.m., 2:01, no matter where you're at in the United States, unless I'm just stupid, all right, you can't buy alcohol anymore.
Hmm.
So at 2:01, you can buy Scope, you can buy Listerine, you can buy rubbing alcohol, you can buy those things. That's another reason why people turn to that. But again, I'm not talking about kids that are 16, 17 and 18. I'm not even talking about the 30, 40, 50-year-olds, okay? I'm talking about that long-term alcoholic that is in so much trouble, all right, that they don't care.
Yeah.
That they don't care. And by the way, those folks right there, as much as I grieve for them, we've already lost them.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know of anybody that has made it at that point in their life,
Yeah.
because it's just so damn hard to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to keep this one short here, Mr. Anderson. We do have, of course, more Don't Hide the Scars episode available now. If you want to dig through the archive, interviews with everybody from heads of DEA, experts, people's personal stories, just hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you're listening right now, if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@painnonprofit, where you can see a video form of the podcast there. And please share the podcast with someone else that you think will get value out of it.